Guys, the chances of you ever becoming a caregiver are 50%. So what that means is your chances of being the one that's being given care are 50%. Get this book, put it in your house, put it in your shelf, read it because it's very useful, very informative. A lot of good motivational quips in there. That's why it's a love story, a self-help story, and a lot of good love stories in there. So great book to get in your collection. Guys, there's going to be a lot of books that are being banned, and I'm telling you right now, you need to order a couple of books right now today. A People's History of the United States by Howard Zinn. Yes, he's a socialist. It doesn't matter if you agree with him or not. I don't care if you're on the left or on the right. You must read that book. You must read. Oh, by the way, that's again Howard Zinn. Read The Jakarta Method. Recently declassified CIA documents talk about the United States exploits since 1947. You need to be aware of what your government's doing and has been doing. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. I also highly recommend that you get The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. Fantastic read. You need to understand that Jim Crow never died. The Jim Crow laws that were there in the 30s and 40s and 50s, the 20s, they're still here. That's why we have the highest incarcerated population on earth and why it's so heavily skewed toward black and brown men. It's not by mistake. Why do we have 159 private prisons in the United States and why are more being built today? Read the book and find out for yourself. Find out what you can do to stop and resist this kind of stuff. Now, you all know that I am a high supporter of CALMA, Colorado Alliance for Latino Mentors and Authors, and the anthology book is due. It's available, $20, guys. I got 2 poems in this book. I'm really proud of and excited of this, but get this book. It's a great collection of very good, insightful poetry, short stories, essays, really good stuff, all written by local Latino artists. So please get this book in your hands. Guys, we're so excited and proud, and I forgot to bring my Spanish introduction again, so forgive me, not again, but I forgot to bring it, so I'm not going to be doing it in Spanish today. But today we have a special guest, and I'm so excited because we need to hear the voice from the legislators. We need to hear the voice from the legal areas. We need to hear the voice of the people who are really in the front lines, in the trenches, who are making the difference. And we have a former state legislator and attorney, Joe Salazar, as our guest today. Thank you for joining us.
How you doing, my man?
I'm very, very great, man. Great to have you.
Yeah, good to be here. Thank you.
So, we know, well, you may or may not know, it was on Channel 7 the other day that this new guy that got put in, instead of a Caraballo, this Gabe Evans was put into the office, and he's trying to change the law so make it so that the well, I'm going to let you go ahead and explain this exactly.
Yeah, so what he's trying to do is he's trying to pass federal legislation that basically would override state legislation that they don't like, right? That's pretty unprecedented because the 10th Amendment of the United States Constitution keeps us separate, right? Federalism keeps us separate. Mm-hmm. States are sovereign governments, and we operate under the larger umbrella of the United States. But the federal government pretty much stays away from legislation that is adopted by state legislatures. And so this man has decided that he's going to obliterate the 10th Amendment and allow the Trump administration in its authoritarian style to override protective immigration legislation that we've passed over the past 15 years.
Mm-hmm. And you know, when they had these recent ICE raids, there was footage showing that the people doing these raids were FBI, they were U.S. Marshals, they were deputies, they were all different law enforcement agencies, and that's not something we normally would see.
It's not, and I think that the reason why they do it is they do it under a pretext of, you know, it's really actually an immigration raid, but they try to couch it as something, you know, like DEA or some ATF or something else, mm-hmm. right? But it's not. It was an immigration raid. And it wasn't very successful, by the way.
Yes.
So that's what they're trying to do. But if you notice, local law enforcement wasn't participating in that.
Yeah, that was interesting.
And that's because of state law,
mm-hmm.
right? And also, local law enforcement have been sending out these messages to the community saying we're not going to participate in federal immigration enforcement action. That's a federal issue. Mm-hmm. It is not a state issue. But that's what Gabe Evans wants to do, is force the local governments to have local law enforcement participate in these raids.
Mm-hmm. And so they're trying to supersede all current laws for their own gain, for their own self-grandizement, for what, for whatever purpose, to make themselves look more powerful. Why would they do this?
It's an authoritarian system.
An authoritarian.
A lot of it is about fear, right? Like, you're going to be fearful of everybody, from local law enforcement all the way up to federal law enforcement. That's what they're trying to do, is they're trying to instill fear. Now, in 2013, I was that cohort, I belonged to that cohort of legislators that came in and changed Colorado from the anti-immigrant hate state, because remember that in 2006, we changed it in 1 year. That's the year that we passed, that was 2013, when we passed asset, when we passed driver's licenses for all, and when we repealed Senate Bill 90, which was Colorado Show Me Your Papers law, which was a racial profiling law, allowing law enforcement to racially profile someone they suspected as being undocumented. We got rid of it all. And since 2013, we've been building up on further protections. And the reason for it is because it makes our community safer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when you don't have local law enforcement tearing communities apart, people will rely on local law enforcement for, to protect them from crime. But when local law enforcement is tearing communities apart, they won't call local law enforcement. And so when I moved forward with that bill to repeal Senate Bill 90, it was law enforcement who showed up en masse to support that bill, saying, we want to be here to support community. So here we are a dozen years later, and it looks like they still want to support community and not engage in federal immigration enforcement.
Wow. I'm curious, where does the governor stand in all this?
And, well, I guess I'll be diplomatic. We don't know where he stands on certain things, but we know that he also doesn't really publicly support community. You have heard him say certain things, like, initially he was like, Governor Pritzker out of Illinois, we're going to stand against the Trump administration. And it wasn't just days later that he started to kowtow to Trump. Oh yeah, we invite immigration, customs and enforcement into Colorado to go after the criminals. Well, you know what, Jared Polis, that wasn't their whole goal. Their whole goal wasn't just to go after criminals, it's go after the entire community.
Yes.
But he's been very silent about it, and that's par for the course, because I believe, is very cowardly.
That was kind of a loaded question, because I agree with you very much. Because coming from a marginalized group himself, I would think that there would be some sense of unity, some sense of support, some sense of empathy. And Gerald Paulos, I'm sure you're not going to hear this, but you need to man up, dude. We need your support. You need to support these people, because the immigrants that are in this country are doing a very critical duty, a job to support the infrastructure that we all depend on. I don't care whether it's having the concrete replaced in your driveway, or having a new roof put on, or having your hotel sheets clean, or getting the dishes clean in your restaurants, or food cooked. There are so many critical jobs that are there that if we completely eliminate these people, who's going to do it? Who's going to do it? This is not the excuse me. This is not the first time this has happened. If you look in history of the United States, whenever the economy goes bad, they always go and try to find a bad guy. They always try to find someone to blame. Way back, they started a program called the Repatriation Act, in which they gathered up and just collected people who looked brown, whether they even spoke Spanish. They didn't care. I understand that they deported like over 300,000 American citizens to Mexico.
Yeah, that was 1920s, 1930s. And they redid it again in 1950s with Operation Wetback.
Operation Wetback.
Yeah, that's right. And this is something that I've been talking to our community about for the past numerous weeks, is that we've been here before.
Yes.
This is not foreign to us, right? Like, in our genetic memory, this has happened to us before. And so a lot of what I'm doing out in community is starting to build up food sustainability systems. In fact, that's what I'm going to be doing today, is working with folks on building up food sustainability, because you're exactly right. What happens if they are successful in deporting, hundreds of thousands of individuals who are doing the work to bring produce to our tables? We're going to have problems. We're going to have food shortages, and we're not going to be able to rely on imports from anywhere else, because now that
we're making war with Canada and Mexico.
Right, the dumbass in chief, he forget the language, but he has tariffs now. And so how much food is food going to cost to bring over into the United States if we have a food shortage? I mean, all this stuff is tightly woven, right? I mean, it's a tightly woven fabric, and he's disrupting the entire structure of it, and to the detriment of the country.
Yes. And I'm not a fortune teller, but I'm going to tell you this. Donald Trump, you're going to be gone someday real soon. I believe you're going to be gone. And here's what I want to say to you, man. You MAGA guys, Mexicans ain't going anywhere.
Mexicans ain't going anywhere.
They're here to stay, and you can deport all you want, but they're going to come back because they're necessary, because they are what makes America great.
Right. And believe this to be true, is that, you know, even though the United States and the artificially drawn borders as they are, you know, this land was once Mexico, and it's always been indigenous land, and Mexican people are indigenous as well. And so they are not unfamiliar with this area. This is their homeland too, right?
Yes, yes.
And so it's not as if, you know, Trump with his little, you know, authoritarian magic wand can try to just disappear everybody. I mean, that's just not going to happen.
Not going to happen. You know, when they're trying to get rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion, don't say DEI. DEI makes it too simple. It excuses them from the responsibility. Diversity. What's the opposite of diversity?
Oh, it's racism.
Monoculturalism.
It's monoculturalism, but it's racism. White
Equity.
nationalism, right?
You don't want equity? What does that mean? Inequity? You think that we're all going to sit back and bow down? I'm not going to bow down. I'm going to stand up and fight. Inclusion. Oh my gosh, how obvious this is to you. How come you don't understand? If you disagree with what I'm saying, how can you support the idea that there should not be equity? How can you logically say that equity is bad?
So what Republicans have done, because they're master manipulators, right? I mean, people talk about how they have better message. No, they're master manipulators. So they took DEI, which was to allow for the inclusion of the history of all individuals that helped build this country, and then they started crying about it, saying that it's racist. It wasn't racist. It was actually just telling the truth of history, you know, and not from the white perspective. The what we had beforehand, well, that was the racist, right? That was the racism, was teaching, as you say, a monoculture of you know, based off of white history. So we start making this big push on teaching the history of all sorts of people, and I know this because I brought that legislation to have the Colorado Department of Education teach history on a very broad spectrum, right? And they turn it around and say, well, this is discriminatory. How is it discriminatory? It's the opposite of discriminatory.
Exactly.
It's diverse, it's equitable, and it's an inclusive, which is the opposite of racism.
Yes.
But they're messaging that both socially, they're messaging it, but also in the courts they're messaging it too. They're saying, courts, you have to get rid of these things because they discriminate against white people. No, we're not.
No.
It's adding to what we're already being taught. It's just adding to it. We're not taking away
Absolutely.
the contributions and also the travesties of the white community. We're adding to it, right? So I'm just hoping that the courts don't buy onto this, but it is master manipulation that we're seeing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm going to say this, man. I believe that they're manipulating the Latino community too. Yeah. Because, I mean, I know so many Latinos for Trump. Sorry, I don't mean to sound that disrespectful. Yes, I do. They're standing bold and standing proud and saying, we want meritocracy. We want meritocracy. Do you know what meritocracy is? Meritocracy is exactly nepotism, or as I call it, nephewtism. Meritocracy does not say that you have merit, that you've earned your spot here. Good example, Pete DUI Hegseth. Think about this. This man is not qualified to manage a village inn. And he's the head of the Department of Defense. And it's because of his merit? What merit?
What merit? Exactly. What qualifications does he have to be the cabinet member who heads up the Department of Defense?
Yes.
What qualifications does Gabe Evans have to be a congressman?
Oh, none.
In CD8? He
None.
doesn't, right? It's a meritocracy, and for all the Latinos out there who support Trump, meritocracy is not for you. The system has always been set up against you.
Yep.
So whatever merit you think that you have, well, the system has already ground you down to nothing.
Yep. And
And so you're not going to rise because the system has already taken your merits and marginalized them. And so that's why you see people like Hegseth at the Department of Defense, or you see Kash Patel, Jesus, who is massively underqualified at the FBI, who is there, right? Because meritocracy is basically the brown nosers playbook on getting ahead, right?
I like you. You're going to get a promotion.
Yeah,
Look at
exactly.
Donald Trump. He sees a chauffeur driver. You know what? You should run the FAA.
Yeah, right.
Come on, man.
My goodness. It's just how far and how deep you could dig your nose up the back end of the dictator in chief, and maybe you'll get a job.
And if someone is a Latino for Trump right now, what is their intention for them long term? In your opinion, what is Trump's intention for the Latinos for Trump?
He wants a white nationalist country. That's what he wants, right? That's why he's gonna, and I don't even know if he did it yesterday, but the executive order for official English, right? Did you hear about that?
No, I haven't heard.
Yeah. So he's gonna sign an executive order for official English. We went through this battle back in the late 1980s, early 1990s.
Yes, I remember.
In Colorado.
Mhm.
And so for the Latino out there who is wanting to be white, you're not white.
Nope.
Everybody knows that you're not white.
No.
You're not going to fit in the white nationalist system unless you are going to be a lackey for them.
And so, slowly but surely, they're going to be edged out. Like all of the black legislators that supported Trump. Did you see how many black people he put in the office?
I don't think he's put any, right?
None of them.
Yeah.
None of them. When they went to the Women's Health Forum, how many women were present there? 0. If you're a woman who supported Trump, 0. Your representation is nil.
But he's getting rid of the black and the women who were in positions of power during the Biden administration. He's obliterating them, right? He's replacing them with white folks. So you're absolutely right, 0.
And for Donald Trump to place a woman into a power like Christine Noem, the dog shooter, what does that say not only about her, but about Donald Trump? She must be extremely, extremely racist.
Oh, God.
She must be extremely exclusive. She must be extreme. She got to be a nasty woman for him to appoint a woman.
Yeah.
Pam Bondi? Oh my gosh. Let's talk about Pam Bondi for a moment.
Okay.
Have you heard about any legislation? As I've heard hearsay, I don't know if it's true, that she trying to pass legislation that says it's a death penalty to be an undocumented immigrant in the United States?
I haven't heard that one. But it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Pam Bondi, if you notice who he's appointing, we're talking about people who have no ethics, no values, and no compassion for human life. So that would not surprise me.
Yep. That's what privilege does to you.
Yeah.
You know, when someone who's privileged sees some kind of equity or some semblance of equity, they perceive that as oppression. And that's why they don't want equity. But you know, the fact of the matter is, you can do study after study. See, I was a diversity instructor for almost 10 years at the utility industry back in the 90s. And there were studies and studies and studies done. When you have a diverse workforce, you are much more able to serve the needs of a diverse marketplace. And so it's reflective in the outcome. Look what's happening to Target right now.
Exactly.
Look at Target stock. Coca-Cola. The Mexicanos are teaching Coca-Cola a lesson. And then recently we found out Pepsi is joining in on taking DEI out of their workplace. And guess what, Pepsi? We don't need you. We don't need you.
But look at Costco. Costco standing up for it, and Costco's, man, that's always busy.
Target here, Costco here.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, we went to Costco the other day, and it's like, man, we couldn't even get gas.
You know, I remember the whole movement to market to the Latino community, and at that time, I think it was like early 2000s when they were doing the studies, and they said, you know, the Latino community has $400 billion buying power in the United States, right? And so companies were like, man, it's stupid for us not to market to them. And so you started to see that whole movement of marketing to the Latino community. And our buying power has gone up exponentially since the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
But they've decided to go ahead and pull it because, you know, the dictator in chief has said, well, DEI is bad. So everyone's like, oh, we're going to get rid of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're right. The stocks are plummeting. And that buying power, well, that buying power is going to be funneled into companies like Costco and other companies that are standing firm with DEI and just honoring, you know, the community. So, you know, hey, look, if they go down, they go down.
Yep. And it's not going to be pretty. I'm telling you, think about how big of a corporation Target is. And can you imagine them going out of business? Because if you go to the Targets here in town, they're definitely lagging in traffic. And so it's not going to slow down. And, you know, the Latino population in America is the 5th largest economy on earth. And that's an economy that's a formidable foe if you make them that way.
Right.
And I'm proud to be a part of that demographic, man.
I am too, but we have to stand together, right? Like
It's unity.
Yeah, it's unity. It's recognizing that this is our power. The buying power is substantial. It is substantial power, and we have to use it to say to companies, fine, you don't want to honor our community. You don't want to honor what it means to be human beings. Then fine, we're gonna go somewhere else.
We will vote with our dollars.
Right.
You know, yesterday was the national strike, you know, and we didn't spend a dime, man. It was wonderful to go and drive by Walmart and see that parking lot almost empty. You know, it was wonderful to hear that, you know, there were so many people that were joining in. I did a TikTok video a couple of days ago and had over 11,000, it might have been yesterday, had over 11,000 views. And people are joining in and people are saying, and not just Latinos, people see this inequity. People see this treatment of people who are honorable and people who are dedicated and hardworking, loyal. You know, I did a study once years ago about brand loyalty in the Chicano Latino community. And cornflakes was a thing that we did research on. And the Latino community is so loyal that they sustain businesses like Coca-Cola. Mm-hmm. And they are very, very dedicated. And when they start on a product and they start telling we start telling our friends and family, guess what? The stocks rise. They succeed. But if you don't reflect in your workplace the population that shops at your store, why do we want to shop at your store?
Exactly. If you were going to go in the direction of white supremacy and white nationalism, which is exactly what Trump is attempting to do. If you as a corporation are moving in that direction, we're going to move away from you.
That's right.
Right? And you know, our loyalties are deep. Mm-hmm. Like they're really deep, but it doesn't mean that for the sake of our families that we're not going to walk away.
Absolutely. We're going to stand tall.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up in Denver and in the poor side of Denver. I mean, I was in the poor side of Denver. We didn't even have keys to our house. I lived at 10th and La Pan. We didn't even have a key to the front door. We never had stolen, nothing was ever stolen from us. Times changed now, but of course. But the thing was, my neighbors were from Mexico. And you know, it's weird, I don't speak Spanish, but I get by. But the thing about it is, all my life, I have been around people from Mexico. And some of my best and dearest friends in the world are Mexicans, and I love my brothers and sisters from Mexico. Guys, we're going to have Jefe Enrique Suave come and join us for just a couple of minutes here, and just, you know, we want to sit in the middle or on the end here?
On the end here.
Guys, you all know Mr. Jefe, Henry Archuleta, and thank you so much for coming in with us, man.
Man, look what we have here.
Yeah, man.
And the dialogue that I'm listening to is so incredibly good, and having all this going on now. I've been watching up on all social media. Everybody likes to, I don't know if that's their soapbox or what they want to do, and they parrot everything that is being said. When you were on the news station the other day, all this stuff lit up. And why? Because you were just going against the police being involved in chasing down who? Who are they chasing down?
Anybody who looks brown.
That's exactly incredible. What it is.
It's incredible. And what are they doing now? It's like, you really look at how they're weakening our United States, trying to come to Colorado. We're a blue state, right? Seems like they're attacking us. And you had a lot to say, and I wanted to talk to you about this because you were a state legislator and you did a lot of things. You're doing a lot of things. You're seeing a lot of things. And you have your opinion, and other people have their opinions. But when they direct it toward us, and they start doing what he does, hating, oh, you stupid, you're so dumb, you're as dumb as a rock, and they get personal right away, instead of like having narratives that are wise and discussing real stuff. You know what I mean? What do you have to say on that side of it?
Yeah, so I've had lots of conversations with people about this, and you know, there's something that needs to be said, and it's fundamentally true. Our families have been here before there was a state of Colorado and before there was a United States.
That's right.
And we've grown up with this state.
That's right.
Growing up with this state means that it took community to build it, both migrant population and indigenous populations. That's how Colorado came to be, right? It wasn't this whole myth about you know, rugged individualism and pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. It was community helping each other out.
Right.
I remember my grandfather telling me about how, you know, he would go and he would fix a tractor from another neighbor, you know, and then that neighbor would do something in return for them. And it wasn't transactional. It was just community, right? That's how Colorado was built, and that's why Colorado was blue, because we've held on to that fundamental nature of what we are, which is we're a community state, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's put it that way, right? And so this whole idea about attacking us because we happen to be a blue state, because we happen to have brown folks in our community, it's just not gonna happen. We saw how unsuccessful they were a couple of weeks back, or was it a week ago, whenever they did that.
Would you not say, and you read this, you know your history about the Bracero program, Operation Wetback.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't know about the Operation Wetback. They don't even look at their history. He called it Operation Aurora. He's taken like a set right out of that past. He's so old-fashioned, you know, with this ice thing.
Because he makes mountains out of molehills. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the dogs. Same thing. It's just propaganda. And people say they're eating the dog. They're eating the.
It's parroting. It's parrot everything that
talking points.
Right.
It's like, and then it's always a negative side. It's like, even last night we all watched him with Zelensky. It's like there was, everybody had their perception. Oh, good, he threw him out, and there's that negativity again. He always says, oh, it's those judges, they're corrupt. Oh, it's them, and it's like, oh, look at them, and they did this and they did that. Here he comes with ice, and everybody's like, look at him like, what is wrong with you? That's so old-fashioned.
Yeah.
That's so.
It's archaic.
Yes, archaic beyond, and you're living it. You just said it right now. We're all living it. We've lived here a long, long, long time.
Yeah.
And look how old I am now, and it goes back into the 1800s with my mother, my father, my grandfather's, yours. It just goes back so far that we look at this individual who don't even know how to live like us. I posted something up there about the you know, how we eat and out beans, chile, papas, simple stuff, tortillas. Do you think they can live like this? They wouldn't even have an idea
How do you make tortillas? 7-Eleven.
It's incredible what we see. It's like, okay, you don't know how to live like us, and you're delegating authority. You're being an authoritarian, and you had the right message out there. And I swear there was so much negative. You probably kind of jumped out of there when you got on the news stations to voice your opinion toward this Evans, what's his Evans?
Gabe Evans.
And he's like out of touch. How can he live? How does he live?
You know, that's a good question. I mean, being the representative out of CD8, representing Adams and Greeley, or the Weld County area, are you kidding me? Is he so dense as to not understand that there are so many businesses up there that rely on migrant labor?
Yes.
Right? Both undocumented and documented,
Yes.
right? Like, towns will go down.
Yes.
If there's mass deportation,
yes.
Oh, yeah.
right? There will be an economic crisis.
All the meat
in
packing
Weld.
plants.
Yes, all of it,
Absolutely.
right? So he's not representing his constituency. He is bowing down to the dictator-in-chief and doing what Trump wants done. Right? That's all
licking
he's doing.
boots.
Licking boots. That's all he's doing.
Why do they do this? What is your perception of why they do
I don't know. I've never been a bootlicker. I mean, I went after Hickenlooper. I've gone after Bennett, and you know, I mean, I still you know, have respect for them. But you know, when I see that they're doing something wrong, man, I'll call it out, right?
As you should.
Yeah, but I don't understand, especially at that level.
Yes.
I mean, that kind of bootlicking
Yes.
level where you are willing to compromise the Constitution of the United States.
That's right.
Mhm.
I mean, this isn't just trying to placate a dictator.
Mhm.
This is destroying our Constitution, and that's a
Absolutely.
treasonous
And
act.
this is what we're talking about. Everybody says, because I get some of the things that are coming to me. I mean, it's downright coming out with guns and showing, we'll get you, and it's like, whoa. Everybody says, and we're just making statements about what we see, you know, because we have this media outlet. You're witnessing this media outlet. You're saying, whoa. And when we're independent, we're not under the CNNs or anybody or any big, huge. We have our own big, huge network. And this is what's nice. What you're saying now is just being broadcast all over the place. They keep it way down. They make sure that we don't see nothing, but we can see it. Just like you said on TikTok, 127,000, you know, so we're up there. We're on all these other platforms. What we are saying really resonates to a lot of people. Other people, they're like, oh, look at that guy shooting his mouth. I hate him.
Mhm.
That's the first thing they're going to say about this individual. But what you did on getting on, I was like watching, yes.
Yes.
Man.
Substance, man. That's
Yes,
what you
there
bring.
was, I says, what made them pick you? They just came to
Because of legislation that I worked on when I was a state legislator, and
Okay.
you know, especially SB 90 when we got rid of the Show Me Your Papers law, and just the fact that I've been, you know, pretty heavily involved in community for a long time. I mean, you know, they just gave me a call, and they're like, Joe, can we interview you? And I was like, absolutely.
Now here's something I saw the other day on TV, and they kind of give us an idea about this. This is wild. This gal comes up on TV and starts talking about immigration and shows all these pictures and videos of these guys coming across with guns and doing all this stuff, and she's speaking totally in English. So who is she speaking to? Is she just drumming up noise and hatred? Or if you're speaking, you can't be in this country if you are, you're released. She's going on and on. Well, you better speak in a different language too, Spanish. Because if I was an illegal immigrant and I was watching her, I wouldn't even know what she's saying.
Yeah, she's speaking to the white nationalists.
She's speaking to the white nationalists. And look at these guys with guns. No, all those people that Trump let out of jail are those people.
Oh my gosh.
You know, it's
Yeah, those J6 individuals.
yes,
Oof.
that's who.
That guy got arrested again.
No, sir.
Yeah, what's his name?
Yeah, the one that's
Tenorio, whatever his name is.
Oh, Tario?
Yeah, he got arrested again.
Oh, man.
Yeah, for assault on Capitol grounds.
Yes. So look at this.
They're falling like dominoes. Just like this administration, it's falling like dominoes.
Yeah.
And they got this Tesla guy in there just jumping up and down. They first talked to this Zelensky and looks at his clothes. You're not, you know, in the past in World War II and all this, Churchill and all them dressed down in their war outfits. Trump did not know that Zelensky's in his war outfit. What is wrong with him? Dress up for you? What did he want?
And then they came back and they you know, he says, that's my costume. It's where I'm wearing the costume. When the war's over, I'll wear the costume like you. Well, the word costume is translated, you know, a suit is translated to costume. And it wasn't ever meant to be offensive or anything, but they took that and twisted it like they do and made it into something bad.
Yeah.
And like you say, Tesla comes, or Muskrat comes on and
Muskrat.
with his.
But that's the essence of his ignorance.
Yes.
Because Bone Spurs never went to
Never served
war.
a day.
He's never served a day.
And what happened to
He's
his
been-
ear? It's nothing wrong.
I know,
Miraculously
right?
healed.
I don't know.
I looked at his ear.
I wonder what happened. Because, you know, if a bullet went through someone's ear for real, yeah,
It's gone.
That ear is not going to be looking the way that it looks, right?
And they showed his bruised hand, excuse me, they showed his
I
bruised
know.
hand from some shaking his hand.
Oh my God, it's not what it was.
A real man.
Right,
A real
but,
man.
but I mean, think about it. I mean, he's so ignorant as to what's happening in the Ukraine that he doesn't recognize that this president, this embattled president who has come here to the United States in friendship, is in war gear, because that's exactly what he needs to be in.
He had no clue because he's never been in the military.
Exactly.
He can talk all this stuff, fire all the generals so it could weaken us, put in these talk show hosts. You could put me in there, run the country, you know.
You know, I'm going to break this down very simply for what happened yesterday. You have a man without a uniform standing there willing to sacrifice his life for his country, talking to a man who would sacrifice his country for himself. There's a little bit of, you know, I mean, you can clearly see that
But
this
why does
doesn't make sense.
everybody
It doesn't.
lick his boots? What is it that everybody parrots him? They were all parroting
Everything.
his insecurities, his thoughts, and we all go on. We're out there. We're broadcasting. They're hearing us. They're hearing us loud and clear.
I don't know, but my dad and I were talking about it. It's like this guy pours poison in people's ears and calls it honey. And
oh yes, I
right,
love
and
it.
there are those who see through the veil, and those who don't. And I don't understand those who don't see the. I mean, this guy is an emperor with no clothes. He's
Exactly.
a felon. He's always been a criminal. He treats laborers poorly.
Women
He
too.
He treats women poorly. I mean, this is his history. I mean, we're not even talking about like a couple of incidents. I mean, this is his daily.
This is since the 80s, since the 70s.
Since
He's
the
been
80s.
like
Like
that.
last night.
But people,
Look what he's done.
people think that he's some type of great savior, and I don't know why.
And those who voted for him are now getting their jobs cut.
Right.
And they're all like, what happened?
What happened?
I voted for him.
I really hope you get everything you voted for. I hope
They
you
are.
all get what
Yeah,
you
they
voted
are.
for. I mean it, a double dose.
Uh-huh.
Guys, if you're just joining us, you are watching KUHS, the stream. This is the Weekend Boost. We're talking to Attorney Joseph Salazar, and he's just informing us and helping us to get a big picture. Of course, El Jefe is here, and thank you for joining us. So let's get back. I just
Well,
want to
you
make sure
had
that
you had a great guest coming in, but we also had him, and I seen him because I seen him. I told you I seen him on TV, really voicing it out there, and boy, you just didn't know how much that resonated. You just saw what you saw on TV, but there.
It went out there, huh?
Yeah, it went out there.
Yeah, I don't ever take a look at the comments.
I know you have to.
Yeah. I know, I bet that I know enough to know not to go to the comments
because it'll destroy your
Well,
mind.
some of them, some of the comments would be good, but by and large, the people who want to comment are the ones who, have an axe to grind, who want to blame somebody for their position in life, who are white nationalists, and I'm like, you know what? My grandfather told me, don't get in pissing contests with skunks, so I don't know.
I like that.
See? Okay, so before I leave, I'm gonna talk to you about one more thing about the way they're going after brown people. And so we're not gonna break down, but they were putting tape over their peepholes, they're busting down the doors, dragging people out. These are just working people trying to survive, just trying to live, eat, and raise their kids. Barely making it, but we're gonna get you and we're gonna deport you to Guantanamo. Jesus. What kind of mentality is that?
And these raids were fruitless. There was very little accomplished. They were knocking on doors saying, "Do you speak English?"
Yeah.
They were so desperate.
Wait,
Tom
do you
Holman.
speak English? Oh, that's Tom Holman.
They
I mean,
kicked him in
before
the
I-
ice hole.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That was good. Boom.
Touche.
You came into a good one. This Tom Holman, just if you watch him, to me he's like stuck in this police kind of, I'm in charge, I'll kick ass, I'll just do it. Dude, let's take it to this parking lot, you and somebody else, without all your backup. And let's see how tough you really are. Everybody says that. What are you doing? You're going to kick them out of here. You're going to do, what are you doing? You have no clue. You're just getting paid a lot of money to just run your mouth off and go after brown people and think that you're doing some great justice in Chicago and New York.
Boston now.
And New York, they couldn't even do it unless they let the guy off.
Yeah, that's what a shame. What a disgrace.
Oh my God.
Travis of Justity. Justice. Travesty of justice.
I knew you were
You better get that fixed. You better get that fixed.
I knew where you were going. No, I remember, I was on the House floor in 2017, and I said this when Trump was first elected. I said, human history it's unoriginal and it's vain. It's unoriginal, and that's why we see it repeat itself over and over again.
Wow.
And it's vain because it dares us to change it, and we never do.
And that's
So-
just, a lot of people are afraid to do this.
Right. So I see Holman, and I start comparing who he would be in Nazi Germany.
Oh.
Because the parallels are just too much.
Exactly.
Right?
Like,
I think that guy would be, and I can't remember his name, but he would be
That
the head
one
of the
that-
brown shirts.
Yes, yes.
That police force that goes out and just beats the hell out of everybody.
Knocks people out and
right,
shoots them right on the
yes,
spot.
right. That's who he reminds me
Yes,
of.
me too.
Yeah.
And that's what I said, you need to meet the wrong people that are out here in the community. Not the brown people that are illegally here, the ones that are legally here, and by yourself without all this armor and look at that military equipment to bust down what? What are you after?
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to tell you what really, don't get me wrong. I've always been against this Trump administration since 2016. But here's what really, really triggered me was when he was during the election and he came on and he said, the Democrats are the enemy of the state, the enemy from within. And so what that did is that alienated us from all other human beings that are American. It made us a group of people that were evil, that were un-American, that were unpatriotic, that did not want to serve their country. When you look at history and you look at who has the most medals of honor, Chicanos, Latino people. Who has the most medals of valor? Brown people, Chicano people. We are the dedicated people who have protected this country from the beginning.
But he wants to cut off the veterans'
Oh, now they're going to take veterans' benefits?
benefits. He wants to cut off. He's got Doge inside of Social Security. That doesn't have anything to do with anything. Stay out of the piggy bank, dude.
Be careful, you don't know what
Yeah,
a
once you
veteran
get
who has
into
nothing
there.
to lose is a pretty scary thing.
Veteran who has nothing to lose is a scary thing.
Yes.
And there's going to be a lot of them.
Yes.
Don't do it, Trump. Don't do it.
Because they're well developed into the military fields. And so you're taking away jobs of people who have served their country, they're without a leg, an arm. You're taking away Medicaid, which supports them. You're taking away veterans support. I think where he's going right now, we're all seeing it. This is going to implode right on it.
I think it is. And once again, it goes back to the fact that he's never served, he's never been a veteran. No one in his family has ever been in those positions
No,
either.
ever.
So
Not one.
So he's ignorant of it all, and he thinks that there's not going to be an effect. Of course, there's an effect. It's a matter of nature that there's a cause and that there's an effect.
That's right.
Yes.
And what he's causing right now is mayhem, and the effect will also be mayhem.
And it's coming. You can see it
He's
coming.
destabilizing, and he's creating an atmosphere where there is a war mindset.
Mhm.
And guess what? Rich people don't send their boys to die. They send poor people's boys to die. So if you're supporting Donald Trump, I think, and you're poor, I think you're in the wrong tax bracket. You're in the wrong tax bracket to be
Joseph,
supporting this.
Before I leave, I want you to tell us one last thing about where do you think this ICE, spending so much money on nothing, where do you think it's headed? After you said what you did on all these stations, and you got, like I said, that's why I came straight to you that quick.
Yeah.
You got so much negativity as well as positive stuff. What's this negativity of, yeah, get them, deport them, get them out of, get them. Where is this mindset?
Now that's the funny thing about white nationalism, is that they feel like they're entitled to things that they're not entitled to.
Right.
And they get to blame people because they don't get what they believe that they're entitled to, and that's where that negativity comes from. Because by and large, what are they contributing to society? Not a damn thing.
Nothing.
Not a thing.
Nothing. So they got to blame somebody else for their lack of contribution.
Yes.
Right.
Now, right now, there's Donald Trump is trying to write executive orders to eliminate birthright citizenship. Yesterday, that was blocked, and I'm really excited to hear that, because here we are. We are at we're at a fork in the road. What do we do? What can we do now? What, as a collective group, whether we're brown, whether we're white, whether we're women, whether we're men, what can we do?
So I sat with an indigenous elder about 20 years ago, and I asked the question about, how was it, because we were the better fighters, how was it that this country was overtaken? And he said, quite simply, we didn't know how to operate in campaigns, right? We thought that it was one fight and then that would be it, right? And that's not how Europeans have been battling for, millennia. They fight in campaigns. Well, we have to get our minds right about this. We have to fight in campaigns, and one of the things that we have to do is we have to engage in food sustainability, because a starving person is, it causes
Back
chaos.
they're back in the
Right,
corner.
and so we can protest, we can contact our representatives, in 2026, if we have elections, we need to go hard on taking over the two chambers. There's a lot of things that we can do. I mean, it's a multifaceted, campaign of being able to get rid of Trump.
And if they find that he's treasonous, which we're starting to see, he's being very treasonous, it could be taken over by the military. That's why he's trying to drop it
And
down.
that's an interesting thing, right? Is because
Yes.
he's getting rid of all these generals.
And he knows if
And
he
putting in
makes them
loyalists.
weak,
Put in
because the
loyalists.
generals can step up, do
Very
a
much
coup,
like
say,
Hitler.
you're gonna get out of here,
Yep.
we're done, the military takes over. And you're not, that's why he did this. Just watch what he's doing. He's taking down that power. And the generals are all starting to get together, and they're looking at the judges. Now, the judges have to have some cojones.
Now they're trying to take out the judges.
Yes.
Impeaching them.
Yeah, impeaching the judges. That's what, they know where they're going. So if they they're trying to move quickly at this, just trying to, and Elon Musk is a techie guy. Now, there's somebody even stronger than Elon Musk, and that's Anonymous. Anonymous is scary as hell. They don't do it for negativity.
Right.
They do it for the positive of this world. And it's the old people that do this kind of stuff, the Anonymous. They're the ones who know this IT better than Musk. He brings these little chumps who, they're good at it, but they're not experienced. And then there's the Snowdens who got in there and said, whoa, You know, so.
Oh man, and he
There's
was
a lot of
vilified
them. Yeah.
for exposing the truth.
Yeah, I know. I love Anonymous and what they do because they don't, number one, they don't suffer fools.
No.
They'll go after anybody who's a dictator or authoritarian, and they don't care. Right?
They don't have to care.
They don't care, right?
They're
So-
older. They're the older ones
Right.
who knew that. This is interesting. You'll like to hear this. This internet is built on a comic book. Archie, Jughead, Veronica.
Mm.
A lot of people don't know this, and how it runs and how it operates. Goes
Mm.
way back. And the old ones know this, so it's who you're a part of, what you know, and what you can do. Now, Musk opened up his shirt. He said, what? Tech support.
Mm.
He's very bright. He knows tech. He's a little bit older, but there's Anonymous who will just rip him to shreds. I don't care what kind of machine he has. I don't care how much AI he has. They can pull it right down.
Mm.
Yeah. And they've all. And here's the thing about Trump and Musk. They're overplaying their hand. Look at all the Doge employees who just quit.
Yeah.
They're like, we're not here to dismantle the Constitution. They said it.
Yes, right.
They
right.
said
They
it.
made a statement, a written statement.
Yes, and that is the indicator that what they are doing is
wrong.
they have become. Musk is a foreign enemy and Trump is a domestic enemy.
That's
Yep.
right.
Which is what we were warned about in our Bill of Rights, right?
That's
So
Yep.
we are the Declaration of Independence anyway, and so we have to work in campaigns though, and this comes from genetic memory. We know how to do this. Our
Mhm.
ancestors have done this before,
Mhm.
and so we have to build up our food sustainability. We could protest at the same time. We have to help each other out. As
And just like I
community.
told you about the food area, we know how to live
Yeah, exactly.
the right way. They
Yep.
don't know how to make tortillas.
Yep.
They don't know how to make sopa or simple stuff that
Right.
can sustain.
Frijoles.
Frijoles.
Nope.
I mean, no,
Oh, no.
they don't know how to do any of those
No.
things.
So with that being said, I'm glad you are a part of this. I'm gonna step back, let you guys finish out, and go from there.
It's always good to see
It
you.
was a pleasure.
Uh-huh.
Thanks for being here. There you have it, Mr. Joseph Salazar, our very special guest that we got on. After I was watching, I was like, does he see all this stuff? I'm sure you know about it though. You know it's out there.
Yeah.
So that was great what you did and come up, and say what you did. That was good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Jefe Enrique Suave, Henry Archuleta. Thank you, Henry. Thanks so much. Guys, so what can we do? March 4th, I'll be on the Capitol steps. I'll be screaming till my voice don't work no more. I'll have my Mexicans ain't going anywhere shirt. I'm gonna have my Free Palestine shirt. It's for the people, man. I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm anti-genocide. Mexicans, you can deport Mexicans, but they ain't going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. March 14th, if you are a veteran, you need to be at the Capitol. It's Veterans March nationwide. If you can get to Washington, D.C., pack your bags, man, because we need you there. We need you representing veterans. March 4th, it's in 3 days. Be there. There's so many things. I'm asking people to not participate. Like I told you before, I've deleted all my meta platforms and especially Messenger. It's very intrusive. It's a spy network, literally. Jeff Bezos don't need your money. Cancel Amazon. I'm telling you, people are finding out more and more that they get better deals off of Amazon than on Amazon. Netflix, I canceled them a year and a half ago. Keep standing. The fight is a good fight, and it's going to be a fight that's going to be not a sprint. It's a marathon.
It's a marathon. And here's the thing is that it's not gonna get any better, folks. We're already into it 4 weeks. I think we're coming up on the 5th week now. Has it gotten better? It's only gotten worse. And it's only gonna get worse for you as a veteran, as a single parent,
Yeah.
someone who has a disabled kid. It's only gonna get worse. So, gonna have to find that grit.
Yep. If you're upset because you saw that they were going to do a cap on insulin costs, you know who caused that problem. It's the guy in the orange guy. There are so many things. They're trying to dismantle the CDC. We cannot let this happen. Now they're doing NOAA. Guess what happens if you eliminate the CDC? During the first pandemic, we were never, without the CDC, we would have never known that we lost 1 million Americans after Donald Trump left office. We would have never known that a new pandemic was on his way. Now they want to hide the fact that we have other pandemics that could easily come in here. They almost eliminated the Ebola group just because they're slashing without even thinking. We need to resist. I didn't vote for Donald Trump because I felt in my heart that it was a bad decision, and now I still feel that same way.
I mean, my God, we have the measles.
Oh,
The
we're
measles
having
in
fatal
West
cases.
Texas, West Texas and New Mexico. It's only a matter of time that it gets to Colorado, right? So
Oh,
we don't have a CDC. We don't have CDC working with the World Health Organization. What do you think happens? I mean,
Rainworm guy, come on.
I mean, come on. You'd have to be a pinche sonso not to understand what's coming.
It's going to be bad if it's allowed to continue. They want to get rid of NOAA. What's going to happen when there's tornadoes coming, when there's horrible weather coming? We're not going to know. We're going to be sitting here like they were in the 1800s. Whoa! I think it might snow.
Right, right. Can you? That bothered me so much earlier this week that they got rid of meteorologists. I mean, it's not just the climate scientists who apparently offend Trump because, well, he gets offended by everything. But it was meteorologists, talking about, hey, a blizzard's coming this way, and modeling and forecasting and all these other types of things, right? Just the basic weather, meteorology, and he got rid of them too, right?
Jeez.
And we were talking before the show is that obliterating so many federal employees isn't about saving a dime to put into the deficit. They're doing it to line their own pockets with a tax cut. So you're affecting literally hundreds of thousands of people, not just the employee, but their families. You're affecting them.
Yep.
For what? To line your pocket?
Yep.
I mean, my God, if that isn't a domestic enemy, I don't know what is.
Yep. I took a vow. As a veteran, I took a vow, and I never forgot the words, against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Now, I never thought of myself as an enemy until the then future president said I was the enemy within. And I am only the enemy as far as anyone who is against the U.S. Constitution. And all veterans need to stand up and support this. You need to be, again, marching on March 14th. And you need to have your voices heard, veterans, because you know what? Our head's on the chopping block. And there's going to be no mercy. He doesn't have compassion. I don't know. I don't know what he sees when he looks at himself in the mirror, but it can't be good.
No, this guy is so into himself that I'm sure he doesn't see the ugliness inside. He's basically a sociopath.
He's a psychopath, sociopath. I don't know, man. Psychologists are coming out in droves saying, man, this guy's unstable. This man is absolutely in decline. This man has memory decline. He's onset dementia. I mean, just listen to him talk, and it's like, I was watching this press conference yesterday. I've probably seen about 5 or 6 clips of it, and every one of them, I just say to myself, man, this guy's just off his rocker.
Yeah, I mean, talk about a wannabe godfather.
No, yes.
I mean, the Zelensky sitting there, a world leader, Zelensky, someone other people look up to, a lot of people look up to, Americans look up to, for standing up against, Russia and the authoritarianism that we see from Putin. And Trump is sitting there, almost like, I'm the godfather, you need to do what I say, and you're disrespecting me, right? And it's like, dude, this has nothing to do with you. It's has nothing to do with you at all.
No.
Right? And but he can't separate himself from that. And that's what's really troubling, is his view of reality is not reality. I mean, he lives in a fantasy world.
He absolutely does. There's all ego there. I want to close out this show by talking about Muskrat. No respect for the man. He's an illegal immigrant. He needs to be deported. Africa will not even take him back. Did you know that?
I didn't know.
I've been hearing some, and it could be hearsay, but I understand that Africa don't want him back. He has to go back to the Dutch colonies, because.
And they won't want him.
No, I mean, so Tesla stock has fallen 60% in Germany, 50% in all over Europe. It's going through the floor in Canada. They're doing 100%. They're proposing 100% tariff on all Tesla vehicles. By the way, if you are ever tailgated by a Tesla, be very careful, because I have a very sensitive following system. And if they're tailgating you and you tap on your brakes, it could cause them to slam on their brakes uncontrollably, so don't do that. Right? Just a little tidbit of information.
Yeah, but the stocks have gone down. I'm waiting for the shareholder lawsuit.
So this is what's coming.
Yep.
Now here's what's the interesting dynamic of this, because Elon Musk bet everything on buying Twitter. We thought it was on the election. He bet all of his marbles on buying Twitter. Then he changed it to X. And then he put his other billion to buy the United States government. And now all of his stocks are plummeting, and that's where his old value is. And his stocks are going down right at 50% and growing. And what's going to happen when all these debtors are coming back to call their debts in? He's not only going to be in financial trouble, he's going to be in legal trouble.
He's going to be in legal trouble.
Guys, this house of cards is beginning to fall in only 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And Elon Musk is not an asset to the United States. He's only an asset to himself. He's getting all these billion-dollar contracts. Now NASA's not even giving him clearance because he's always talking to Putin. You know, he turned off Starlink when, and I don't know exactly, my mind just drew a blank, but he turned off Starlink when Russia was in a war with someone, or China. But the fact is that he is not, his interests do not include the American people or the American success as a government.
And that's why we should be so concerned about the data he's harvesting from Americans.
Oh my gosh.
We have to be concerned about that because he does have Starlink.
Yes.
And what he can do with that data can be absolutely devastating to this country.
Yes.
And I have no idea why members of Congress, why law enforcement, why they're not going after this guy, because he is a foreign enemy. And I mean, I do have an idea because he's cloaked with authority from, the dictator in chief, whatever illusory authority he thinks that he has. But at some point, we have to stop this because he's gathering data that's going to be harmful for this country. And
absolutely.
My high school teacher, history teacher, used to say, internal strife leads to external invasion. And that's how it has been throughout history, right? You're fighting with each other on the inside, and then the external invaders come. And he's the external invader, man. And we're fighting with each other within this country and not recognizing that our Constitution is at risk, is at severe risk right now. And we're just allowing it to happen.
We're letting 25-year-old punk-ass kids called big balls into our most private section of our government and our government affiliates and government organizations. I mean, they're dismantling the Department of Education, people. I don't care if you have kids or not. I don't care if they're grown. This is you. This is our future. The Department of Education cannot be dismantled. NOAA cannot be dismantled. The CDC cannot be dismantled. And if we sit back and let this happen, brace yourself, because it's really going to get worse.
It's going to get worse.
And
there's really a guy named Big Balls.
Yeah, they have a guy they call Big Balls.
At 25
He's a kid.
years old.
He's a kid.
Yeah, he probably should be nicknamed Drop Balls because they probably haven't dropped yet.
Soon.
Right.
Did you know he has one of his Doge boys that has a grandfather who was a KGB agent?
What?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I don't know which of the Doge boys, I call them douche, but the Doge boys, they're not American. They're not American. They're Canadians. And even if they're American, they are not supporting the American system of justice, the American system of law. They are not abiding by laws themselves, and they got to be taken out, man.
Yeah. And Congress isn't doing a damn thing about it. That's the other disgusting
That's
part
really
of it.
what's getting me bad. Oh man, they're twiddling their thumbs.
Yeah, just watching it unfold. And behind the scenes, these Republicans are sitting there saying, "Oh my God, it's so bad," and what did we do, and all this other stuff. Do something up front.
Stand up.
Use your congressional power,
Yeah.
which you're an co-equal branch of government to the executive. Do something, and they're not.
And they're coming out and saying, well, we're getting death threats. If we do anything against Donald Trump, we're getting death threats. And you know what? Sometimes there's some things more important than your very life, and that is your country.
Your country.
You know what? When I join the service, I have every thought that if there's a war, I may die. And so I said, I lay down my life for you. And if you're a veteran who supports Donald Trump, you are a traitor. Donald Trump is a traitor who has committed espionage, who still has boxes and boxes of classified documents that he's never turned over. A Latino for Trump is a sellout to all Latinos. A black for Trump is a sellout to all blacks. Women for Trump, you are the worst. He's taken your bodily autonomy. He's taken your right to who you are. He is a traitor to this country. Sorry, that's the truth. He is the enemy of this country, the domestic enemy, and I will not stop saying that. I will never stop saying that. I'd rather die on my feet than to live on my knees.
Live on my knees, right?
That's the fact. That's the truth. My opinion is that this is my country. I didn't go to war because I was too young for Vietnam. Right when I was coming out, they took the hostages in Iran. Yesterday I met a gentleman from Iran. It was wonderful. But here's the thing. You took a vow that said you will protect the U.S. Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Stand up. Represent. Do it right. Don't be afraid. Speak your mind. I would rather die on my feet than to live on my knees. How about you? Guys, you've been watching the Weekend Boost. This is KUHS, The Stream. I'm so honored to have you, Mr. Salazar. Thank you so much. My show motto is this. Everyone's looking for a hero, and if you can't find one, be one.
Be one. Become one yourself.
Thank you so much for representing.
Yeah, you betcha.
And we'll see you in the courtroom.
Yeah. Well, we still have a lot of work to do, and you'll be seeing my face in the press quite a bit as I go after Gabe Evans. I will not run for Congress this time around, but it doesn't mean that as a constituent that I'm not going to use the bully pulpit to expose this just absolutely horrible liar for what he is.
Absolutely. Guys, stand by. Mr. Paul Chavez with Deep Cuts is coming up. He's going to put on some wonderful, sweet, loving music. Get your loved one. Go put your arms around him or her. Give them a kiss. Love on them. We will see you next time. Oh, shoot, I didn't record this.
That's the time. Henry? Henry? Are we off?
Sorry, I got passionate there.
Are we off the video?
Video's up, everything's up.
Good.
How's it
How you
going, man?
Paul Travis.
Joe